you. The gentleman yields back, and I recognized the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Ezell, for 5 minutes for questions.
That's Ezell, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. Mississippi is no stranger to storms, most notably, as we've talked about, Katrina, where we lost the lives of over 1,300 people and $125 billion in damage. In 2005, Congress enacted the Post-Katrina Emergency Management Reform Act, which reestablished FEMA as a distinct entity within DHS. As we approach the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, I'm still waiting for FEMA to respond to claims in my district associated with this devastating storm. It's unacceptable and a perfect example of how the federal government has let our people down. I'm proud to have co-led and passed several bills that seek to improve FEMA, bills like H.R. 2254, the Don't Penalize Victims Act, H.R. 152, the Federal Disaster Assistance Coordination Act, and H.R. 153, the Post-Disaster Assistance Online Accountability Act. I was thrilled when President Trump recently announced the creation of FEMA Review Council to evaluate FEMA bureaucracy and disaster response. FEMA has spent $30 billion in disaster aid each of the past 3 years, yet many disaster survivors and taxpayers still lack the resources they need. I've been working closely with FEMA to address outstanding issues in my district, and I look forward to seeing how we can improve the process for future disasters because we know they're going to happen. Before I get too far, I want to enter a document from St. Charles Parish, Louisiana, reflecting some of the reforms that we've discussed for the agency. I want to ask Mr. Curry.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Mr. Curry, the GAO has done a great job, has done great reports on the problems with risk rating 2.0. Each community across the nation has invested many resources to manage its membership in the NFIP. The primary issue with risk rating 2.0 is a lack of transparency regarding the algorithm. This results in communities being unable to make decisions to target resiliency projects, plan future growth, formulate effective policies, or simply ensure that they're not wasting resources. Its impact today is felt more than ever. With the rising cost of housing, this policy hides the actual cost of home ownership. Mr. Curry, could you reflect on the damage and concerns attached to the lack of transparency of risk rating 2.0?
Thank you. FEMA has a huge challenge with the National Flood Insurance Program. The idea behind risk rating 2.0 is the right one, which is you want to assess each house's individual risk to a disaster and not just assume that everybody in an area has the same exact risk. The challenge is that if your house is at higher risk, your premiums are going to be higher. So they're trying to get the program to the point of solvency or close to solvency because it's never been solvent. It's $20 billion in debt. And honestly, sir, it's up to the Congress now to decide what they want this program to be. Do they want it to be an insurance program or do they want it to be a federal disaster assistance program? As long as premiums do not cover the cost of the program, a large portion of the flood insurance program is a disaster aid program.
Thank you. What reforms could resolve the possible damage that risk rating 2.0 can have on families and communities in general?
Well, there's a number of different options that have been put out there. For example, state or federal programs to help supplement homeowners of a certain income level or certain income threshold, just like we do with other programs who are basically going to be priced out of a certain market because they can't afford the flood insurance. Well, they barely afford the mortgage and then barely afford the flood insurance on top of that. And there's a number of options like that, but unfortunately, there's no easy options that will drive down the cost. It's going to be very expensive, and somebody has to pay for the cost, either the taxpayer, the state, or the federal government.
Thank you. Should some of the procedures within NFIB be standardized and transparent to ensure that communities can effectively use their resources?
Absolutely. I mean, that's key. And FEMA, through its flood mapping project, should be very transparent about the risk of each individual property. And so, I mean, they have a long way to go in implementing this program and making sure there's transparency.
Thank you. If I may have just another 30 seconds.
No objection.
In my home state of Mississippi and also along the Gulf Coast, after the hurricane, FEMA just came in there and blanketed just about the whole area that was flooded and just moved all the flood maps. Since then, and since I've been in the Congress, I have worked tirelessly trying to get some sort of order back in place so that we could, this is a once-in-a-lifetime storm, and it's not happened again. And I just got to say that it's been very frustrating. They have the flood maps, but they don't know how to implement them, and we're waiting for those things to get implemented. And that's very frustrating to people who are trying to buy, build, or have a live future on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So with that, if you got any way that you could tell them to hurry up and get those things adopted, we sure would appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. The gentleman yields back, and I